Gabrielle, Redfern, how would you deal with the rising cost of pensions? How are you going to deal with the unions?
I think the pension issue goes beyond just the unions. I think it's an issue that transcends all of the employees in the city. I'm concerned with the amount of money that the assistants make. And when we ask the administrators in their departments to look at cutting their staffs or their services, they always seem to cut the bottom. We see in the building department this year that they are being supplemented with $1.5 million of reserves, while two low-level people lost their jobs. It wasn't enough. We need a total relook at all of the salaries, and as your city commissioner, we get to participate in the city's pensions plan, but we don't participate equally. We don't get, the pension that we get is based on the $6,000 that we get as commissioners.
Okay,
but the city gives us much more than that, and we should be responsible for those dollars.
I'm sorry, Alex Fernandez, same question.
I think the issue with the pensions and how I will deal with it, number one has to be, you know, coming as a negotiator through the city managers, obviously, but not coming as bad guys. You know, we need to negotiate with our unions, because we need to realize that they serve a purpose, and their purpose is to ask for their members. But we need to really get them to understand that we can't continue, you know, offering raises, that we need to, for the good of our city, we need to cut a little bit on salaries, you know, from the highest paying to the lowest worker, and we cannot continue providing so much to the pensions. We need to consider more what the private industry is doing.
Thank you. Michael Gongora, same question.
To correct the pension deficit, we need to look at what past commissions did, which contributed to the problem today. Part of the problems are past commissions didn't properly set aside money for the pensions. Past commissions assumed that there was going to be growth that didn't occur. And the rate has stayed flat with regard to these monies. So we need to go back to the unions. We need to renegotiate with them, because we can't afford the deals that are on the table right now. I agree we also need to look across the board at all employees citywide and look at this as a problem on a citywide level. I've experienced doing this before, and I'm prepared to do it again.
Alex Fernandez, a question to you, 1 minute. How would you deal with the issue of the convention center? How would you help guide the plans if you were involved? What do you think the best way to deal with the convention center is?
I think we need to go beyond our city's limits and our city's boundaries. As your commissioners, we don't only get elected to legislate within our boundaries, but we need to go beyond our boundaries and fight before the governing boards that handle these funds that are important for our community. I will use the relationships that I have solidified throughout the years. For example, at the county commission where I worked for several years I will use those relationships to fight for Miami Beach and make sure that we get our fair share of the pie. The reality is that we generate about 35% of the tourism money for Miami-Dade County. We only get about 5% of that money back. And we got to make sure that Miami Beach is well respected, and we get that.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
So what would you do with the convention center?
Well, we need to expand on our convention center. We need to get the funds in order to expand on our convention center. And in order to get those funds, we need to go to the county and work with the county.
Okay, I get it. Thank you so much. Gabrielle.
The convention center is the economic generator of this entire county, and we need to do everything we can to make it competitive, to make it a top 5 destination for conventions in this country, in the world. And we need to partner with the county to do that. And the county needs to pay attention to the economic generators of South Florida and not devote money to private enterprise the way they're doing with $500 million in the city of Miami.
Thank you. Michael.
Part of the problem is the city of Miami Beach. Quite frankly, we need to figure out what we want to do with the convention center. We've been hearing about this issue for years and years. We all know that the convention center needs improvements. It's time to step up to the table, stop the studies, and make the improvements that the experts tell us are needed to make the convention center economically viable. This is a huge money generator, and the county has set aside the money to do it, so let's make sure we use the money before they stick it into the baseball stadium.
Michael Gongora, question to you, 1 minute. Is Miami Beach overdeveloped?
Is it what?
Overdeveloped.
I think we've pretty much developed as much as we can right now. There's not much development going on. If you look at the land use board meetings, there's not a whole lot of development going on right now. I think before we start developing Miami Beach again, we need to take a step back and take a look at the city's infrastructure. the overflooding, the quality of the streets, the condition of our city is not where it should be. And I think it's because we had such a big development boom over the past decade. So before development starts again, and I believe it will start again, I believe we all want responsible development that fits in with the integrity of our neighborhoods. We need to make sure that Miami Beach is set up to withstand and sustain this type of development.
Gabrielle Redfern?
For the past 4 years, I've had the privilege of sitting on Design Review Board, where I've had a front row seat to the boom growth in our economy. And when I drive around the city, which I do a lot on my bicycle, I see a lot of room for people to make money on redeveloping parcels of property in the city. There's still a lot of opportunity out there. It needs to be the right kind of development, but luckily we have a city that has always respected historic preservation and understands the need of the balance between historic preservation and urban renewal. I've said it before and I've said it again, during this time we need to relook at our land development regulations, especially as they relate to parking and FAR, and make sure that what we build for the future is green and makes us more urban and more mobile.
Thank you. Alex Fernandez.
I feel that we're not overdeveloped. I feel that we're at a right level right now, but we need to develop more on our infrastructure, on issues from our parking, where we obviously need more parking. We need to continue on the path of enhancing that, our flooding, our sewers, our parks. That is the infrastructure that we now need to focus our development from the city's aspect, our attentions on.
Okay, and the last question, and it's do any of you think gambling is good public policy for Miami Beach? Each of you, go ahead. Alex, you start.
Well, I'll say I don't agree with gambling necessarily. Again, it's an issue of the times. So right now, the way I see things, I would not agree with gambling. But I do think it's important to analyze the numbers before a decision is made. So that's how we're brought to the table. We'll look at the numbers, but right now Alex Fernandez says no to gambling.
Gabrielle Redfern?
This is one of those rare issues in Miami Beach where I do not have a plan. And they're laughing because they know I usually have a plan for things. I know that we're a company town and our business is tourism. I would like to see discussions about gambling go forward, and if we can find something that's palatable to the residents and does provide us economic security, maybe. But at this point, I just don't know.
Thank you. Michael Gongora.
At this time, I'm not in favor of gambling. This issue came up when I was on the commission, and I voted against gambling at that time. I'm open-minded. I have to see what the economic situation is going to look like in the future, and if somebody can give me compelling reasons why this would work and why this wouldn't bring along with it all kinds of industries that I would not like to see in Miami Beach, then I would consider it. But at this time, no.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, candidates for Miami Beach Commission,